Welcome to the Oilers TV live show for the 2020 NHL Draft. I'm your host, Tony Brar, as the Oilers get their man at 14th overall. His name is Dylan Holloway from the University of Wisconsin. He's a Calgary, Alberta native, so he's coming and returning back to his home province. He's a 2001 birth year player, 6'1" and 203 pounds. Pretty scary when he's just 19 years old and he's already that big. Scouts do predict him to maybe play in the NHL at about the 225, 230 pound range, which is significant for his playing style because he is a power forward that can play all three positions. Elite Prospects describes Dylan Holloway as a man who can consistently apply pressure on the back check, pickpockets puck carriers, make timely hits, and wields a disruptive stick. He never flees from the zone early and is a capable east-west attacker. He's a man that does it all. He's a very versatile player, and he's also a former Okotoks Oiler in the AJHL. So from one Oiler organization to another, Dylan Holloway drafted by the Edmonton Oilers at 14th overall. Now, we are going to hear from Dylan in just a few moments. We believe we're going to get a Zoom call with him from his home, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, just a couple of more notes on Holloway. He was named the 2019 AJHL Player of the Year with the Okotoks Oilers. He had 88 points and 40 goals, both second in the league in 2019, and helped win the AJHL Player of the Year honors in 2019. Now, a quick note about his family. His father was drafted by the Vancouver Canucks in 1981 in round 7. He did appear in 2 games for the Canucks. His name was Bruce Holloway, so kind of forging the footsteps for his son Dylan as he becomes the second Holloway to be drafted into the National Hockey League. Holloway played in the NCAA Division I with the University of Wisconsin, learned a lot from his teammate Alex Turcotte, who was drafted 5th overall last year from the Los Angeles Kings. So great to see a little bit of mentorship from young men in the University of Wisconsin. He had 8 goals and 9 assists in 35 games as a freshman, but his head coach and former NHLer Tony Granato did state that his numbers don't really exemplify how effective of a player Dylan Holloway was, as he simply put, his production didn't really match his effectiveness on the ice. So Dylan Holloway, a man who can do it in all 3 zones, and he's really praised for his defensive side of the puck as well. We obviously heard from Ken Holland, the general manager and president of hockey operations of the Edmonton Oilers yesterday, in saying that a need for this hockey club is a goaltender and a third-line center. And right now, just with the naked eye, it looks like Dylan Holloway might be a long-term solution at the third-line center. Not necessarily right away, as he is still committed to go to the University of Wisconsin. And we may not see Holloway in an NHL lineup for another couple of years, but it might be a long-term solution to that third-line center spot. But that's not all he can do. He's a very versatile player. He can play the wing. He can play either wing, but more comfortable on the left-hand side. And Brian Burke on the Sportsnet broadcast did say that Holloway is equally effective on the boards as he is on the middle of the ice. So Sam Cosentino from Sportsnet, we obviously heard from Cosentino on Sunday. He described Holloway as a man who is a straight-line player and drives the net as hard as he forechecks and backchecks. So again, really regarded for his two-way ability, that being Dylan Holloway. Now, in an NHL.com article published in September, he spoke with Mike Morial from NHL.com, and a couple of quotes from Holloway himself before we hear from the number 14th overall selection over a Zoom call. He said, "I'd say I'm a skilled two-way power forward. I'm a pretty fast player, but like to throw the body around too. Towards the end of the year in University of Wisconsin, I was getting on the score sheet a little more, but I think the biggest thing was that I was playing with more confidence. The beginning of the year was a big jump going from the AJHL to the NCAA, so I was getting my feet wet and getting used to the pace of the NCAA. Again, 8 goals and 9 assists in 35 games for the newest Edmonton Oiler. Dan Marr, from Director of NHL Central Scouting, also described Holloway as a complete package, which is what makes him an attractive prospect in this year's draft. Tyler Wright and the Oilers scouting staff certainly thought so as well. He's been well scouted the past 3 seasons and is therefore a well-known commodity who has been evaluated mostly while playing as one of the youngest members on his team at every level. So it's the Oilers going with Dylan Holloway. We're going to be hearing from the Oilers' newest prospect in just a few moments. Stay tuned.
of the media to mute themselves, please, and we will proceed with questions. But we are very pleased to have the Edmonton Oilers' first-round draft pick, 14th overall, Dylan Holloway, with us. A reminder to ask questions, use the raise hand function. And once again, I think what I'm going to do is I will mute everybody right now and then unmute myself and Dylan. So we need everybody to be muted to start this. 1 second here, Dylan. So Dylan, I'm asking you to unmute. If you could just make sure to unmute your...
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Okay, we're ready to take questions. We'd ask everybody to use the raise hand function, and then I will unmute you, and you can ask your question. You will be allowed to ask a follow-up question, so if you want to just leave your mic open, and you can ask a second question. If not, just mute yourself, and I will mute you and lower your hand. So at this time, we have a question from Gene Principe. Gene, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
Dylan, first of all, congratulations on getting drafted by Edmonton. Where did you, I don't know if I should say have yourself pegged, but as the picks were moving along and got into double digits, what was kind of going through your mind until number 14 and getting chosen by Edmonton?
Yeah, well, obviously I was super pumped to get selected, but sitting there, I was just patiently waiting for my name. I knew like an NHL draft, anything could happen. So yeah, but as soon as I got picked, I was super excited. My phone actually started blowing up before the pick, so that's why my reaction was a little bit late on camera, was because I didn't really know until like after. But yeah, I was super excited for it.
Gene, do you have a follow-up? No? Okay, we'll go to the next question. Rob Tichkowski. Rob, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi there, you got me?
Yep.
Yeah, I got you.
Just an obvious one, coming to Edmonton, what are your thoughts? I mean, probably a number of destinations where you could have ended up. What are your thoughts on coming to the Oilers, and what do you like about this fit?
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, obviously, Edmonton Oilers got a ton of history and a great organization, so that number one is why I'm super excited. But then also it's close to home, so I got a lot of family and friends there, like from Calgary, so pretty close to Edmonton. And yeah, I'm just super excited and couldn't be more thrilled.
I was going to ask you about that, being a kid from the Calgary area. What is that going to do for I imagine you and your family, you grew up cheering for the Flames, so you're going to have to suddenly about-face all your allegiances, or how does that work out?
Yeah, well, growing up, I did cheer for the Flames, but definitely not anymore. And I know my family is, they aren't Flames fans anymore, so.
Next question to Mark Spector. Mark, as soon as your microphone's active, go ahead.
So did you grow up in Calgary in Bragg Creek? And if it was in Bragg Creek, what was the hockey like out there? What's it like growing up in Bragg Creek?
Yeah, so I did grow up in Bragg Creek. That's where I live now too. So I don't know, growing up, we actually had an outdoor hockey league till I was about 6. So I played in that. And then after that, we started commuting back and forth to Calgary. So I started playing in Calgary just because it was better hockey and it was indoor league, I guess. So yeah, but growing up in Bragg Creek was awesome. I love it out there. It's kind of in the country. So I do a lot of outdoorsy things, but it definitely helped my hockey.
You wore, I noticed, number 4 for Wisconsin, which is a strange number for a forward a little bit. And your favorite players I read were Taves and Landeskog. Where does number 4 fit in and all that? And, who do you try to pattern yourself after?
Yeah, well, number 4 is actually in junior, I had a choice between number 16 and number 4. And I thought, number 4 is actually a pretty cool number. So I kind of rocked it ever since. I really like that number. And then, yeah, Gabriel Landeskog and Jonathan Taves are definitely 2 guys growing up that I wanted to model my game after. I think they're both really good two-way centermen, tough on pucks and super skilled. So they're definitely players I want to model my game after.
Next question, we'll go to Derek Van Dies from Post Media. Derek, go ahead.
Hey, Dylan, congratulations for joining the Oilers. I just wanted to ask you, you had a great season in Okotoks, scored 40 goals, and then you went to Wisconsin. Just want to ask you what the difference was going to Wisconsin, and how was your first year there?
Yeah, well, my first year was a lot of fun. I definitely coming from the AJ playing NCAA hockey. It's a big difference in pace, and guys are much bigger and stronger and faster. So kind of getting used to that, I think, was the reason why I wasn't putting up as many points as I was in junior. But towards the end of the year, I started to get more confident, started throwing my body around a little bit better. And I know I started putting up on the score sheet a little bit more too. So it was definitely, I'm really happy I chose Wisconsin. It's been a great organization for me, and I'm just super excited for next year.
Yeah, I just want to ask you about, just to follow up on that. What is the status for next season? Like, you guys going to play, or what's going on? Have they told you when the season might start, or when you got to go back to school?
Yeah, it was announced today that our season starts November 13th. So super excited for that. I'm actually in Madison right now. I've been here for the past month, I'd say. So I've just been training and skating with the team.
Excuse me. Next question to Tim Campbell from NHL.com. Go ahead, Tim.
Thanks, Andre. Congratulations, Dylan. Wondering if you would share who was blowing up your phone before the pic came in over the camera.
Yeah, just kind of everybody. I got a bunch of friends and family back home that are texting me, and then I had a bunch of buddies here who were actually at the draft party who were, I don't know, we'd take pictures with and stuff. So I don't know, kind of just everybody, but a lot of friends from back home.
Thanks, Dylan. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And next question will go to Jack Michaels, Ched Radio. Jack Michaels, go ahead, Jack.
Dylan, I just wanted to follow up a little bit more about your first year in Wisconsin, and just in retrospect, did it kind of make it easier, the transition, having a lot of attention on Turcotte and Caulfield, and you maybe able to get a feel for the NCAA Division I level, especially as such a young guy at that level?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely say it helped a little bit. It was actually really good, really nice for me because going into my draft year, they just experienced their draft years, so they were able to help me out quite a bit with just all like the media and all that kind of stuff, and just the pressure of it all. So it definitely helped out quite a bit. And those are two unbelievable players. So really happy I was able to be teammates with them last year.
My follow-up would be, no surprise to me that you're in Madison. I guess it's earned its reputation as maybe the best college city in America.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely say it's one of the best college cities in America.
Thanks, Jack. Next question to Rob Tichkowski. Rob, as soon as your microphone is unmuted, you can start. Go ahead, Rob.
Hi, Dylan. I was just wondering, in a normal draft year, you go up on the stage and you get to put on the sweater with the management and everything. I mean, this is obviously different for obvious reasons. As a player going through it, how is that? Do you feel robbed a little bit that you didn't get to experience the full draft thing, or does it just being drafted in general kind of cancel that out?
Yeah, well, it definitely cancels it out. I definitely don't feel robbed at all. If anything, this almost worked out a little better because I was able to experience this whole process with my teammates, and like I had a bunch of family here tonight too. So I have more family and friends here than I would have had it in Montreal had it been like in person. But obviously, it would have been cool to put the jersey over my head and go on stage, that kind of thing. But I'm just super happy it worked out the way it did. And like, couldn't be more happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Next question to Ryan Rashog. Ryan from TSN, go ahead.
Thanks, Dylan. A very unique draft year, for your draft class. Missing a bunch of hockey, all the uncertainty. I wonder what your approach has been to kind of making sure that with all the kind of mayhem and stuff going on around you, that you don't let that bite into your development. What extra measures do you take? And even moving forward in this next 8-10 months, what you do to just make sure that this doesn't get in the way of you developing the way other picks would have a chance to.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been weird times. I know there's a lot of uncertainty when the season was just going to start, but just this whole summer, I've just try to train like it would start like a regular time, and it's starting like a month behind, but that's pretty much regular time. So I think I had a good summer. I started training back after COVID, like during like the big quarantine, I was training a lot. So I just try to use it to my advantage, and I'll just try to think positive the whole way through it.
Thank you. Next question, Gene Principe from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Gene.
Dylan, I was just curious. I mean, every team has some great players, but Edmonton has two of the best, if not the best in the league. I just wondered if you've had a chance through school and growing up to watch a lot of the Oilers, Leon and Connor, and what you think of, the possibility in the not too distant future of being on the same team as them.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about. I know past couple of years I've been watching them really closely. Edmonton's been one of my favorite teams to watch just because of them. So the fact that I could be teammates with them one day is pretty special, and I don't know, I'm super excited.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gene. Next question to Mark Spector. Mark,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Thank you, Andre. Dylan, your dad, Bruce, had what they call a cup of coffee in the NHL, 2 games.
Mhm.
Tell me about him. What does he do for a living, and how did he become a guy that made it all the way there and then only played 2 games, but obviously, hopefully you'll play more?
Yeah, well, I know he was hockey was kind of his life growing up, but I think he got a really bad injury there and kind of inhibited his ability to play a little bit. But he's been one of my biggest role models growing up. He's got a really good hockey background. He's a really driven guy. So he's been giving me tips and little tricks all the way up, helping me out with my game. And right now, his profession is a helicopter pilot. So him and my mom run a little helicopter business outside of Calgary there, and yeah, so it's a pretty cool job.
A helicopter business, is it for like who would rent the helicopters? Is it a hunting thing? Is it a skiing thing? What is it?
Fly people up and down the mountain heli skiing. And then the big thing they do in the summer too is they get hired by the government because of all the fires that happen in BC and northern Alberta. So they're pretty busy with that all summer, and then all winter they're pretty busy with the heli skiing.
Thank you. Next question from Derek Van Diest, Post Media. Derek, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey Dylan, I just wanted to ask you what you think your strengths are as a player, and what do you think you have to improve in order to make the jump to the NHL level?
Yeah, I think definitely my strengths would be my skating. I think I try and play at a really fast pace, and then my physicality. That's one thing that I've always tried to do growing up is just play physical. So those are 2 things that I think are my strengths, and then definitely like to get to the NHL. Like guys are so fast, like you said, like Connor McDavid. He's like one of the is the fastest guy in the league. So like to be able to keep up with that, I'm gonna have to train really hard and still work on my speed. And then another thing too is decision making. I know it's such a high pace, and guys are so quick to close and super good on pucks too. So decision making is gonna be something I gotta work on and be able to make decisions quicker. And sometimes even before I have the puck, I gotta know what I'm gonna be able to do with it.
Thanks, Dylan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek, and thank you very much, Dylan, for doing this. Welcome to Oil Country. Great to have you as part of the Edmonton Oilers organization. And to the members of the media, we will interrupt this, and we will be coming back with Ken Holland at some point later in the draft. We'll let you know on WhatsApp. Thank you very much, Dylan.
Okay, thank you very much.
And there was 14th overall selection for the Edmonton Oilers and the newest Oiler, Dylan Holloway. He just used 2 words repeatedly to describe his excitement: super pumped. He said his phone blow up before the draft pick came on live TV, so he couldn't really give a reaction until it was official through the feed on Sportsnet. But he had a couple of buddies he mentioned texting with news over Twitter already circulating that the Oilers drafted Dylan Holloway before he caught the live feed. But he mentioned a ton of history as well, and that he couldn't be more thrilled to be joining the Edmonton Oilers organization. And you heard it later on in that Zoom interview in talking about how excited he is to play with guys like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Well, obviously Holloway will be looking to make history with those 2 players and this organization moving forward and help guide them to a potential Stanley Cup. Now, he is from Calgary, Alberta, and he was asked about growing up cheering for the Flames, and he's squashed all of that. He's like, there's definitely no Flames fandom anymore in the household, and he's going to make sure his parents don't cheer for the Flames anymore. Now, he does wear number 4 at Wisconsin. He said it simply, he explained it with, it's a pretty cool number, basically, is all he had to say. He's number 4. He had the choice in junior whether wearing number 4 or 16. He decided to rock 4, and he says, I want to wear it because it's cool, and we definitely know Chris Russell is number 4 of the Edmonton Oilers, and the last Oiler forward to wear the number 4 was Taylor Hall. So definitely we have seen the number 4 in Oilers silks before, but he says he models his game after 2 very conscientious players on the ice, and that being Gabriel Landeskog, who was the second pick after Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in 2011, and then Jonathan Taves as well, who himself went third overall in his own draft year. But that's exactly what Dylan Holloway is. He's a complete 200-foot player that takes care of his own end of the ice just as much as he could be an offensive presence, and he's also very good on the power play. So definitely a potential future weapon, especially with the 1-3-1 that the Oilers deploy, and the three being Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid. Perhaps Dylan Holloway can find himself in front of the net on the Oilers' man advantage for years to come. So you heard the director of hockey public relations, Andre Brin, talk about that there will be a media availability with general manager and president of hockey operations, Ken Holland. We'll have that live for you right here on Oilers TV and EdmontonOilers.com. So I'll see you guys then. Be sure to tune in and stay safe.